Welcome to hyperCAD. This video will show you how to use the Selection tab and Selection commands to select geometry in hyperCAD. We'll start by activating the Selection tab, which allows you to select geometry by entity type and other attributes. There are some selection commands on the Edit menu, as well as a selection toolbar. And there are two icons on the upper toolbar pertaining to selection as well. First, let's look at the Selection tab. You'll notice little arrows next to the entity types and attributes. A green arrow indicates that this type of geometry is selectable. A gray arrow indicates that this type of geometry is not selectable. A yellow arrow indicates that some children of a parent are selectable and others are not. The reason that the curve entity type has a yellow arrow by default is because of the face boundaries. Face boundaries are not actually entities, but because face boundaries are commonly used in HyperMill, hyperCAD allows for their selection without manually creating boundary curves first. Individual entities are selected by clicking on geometry with the left mouse button. Multiple entities are selected or deselected by holding the Control key while clicking on geometry with the left mouse button. Any selected geometry will appear highlighted. Let's look at the commands in the Edit menu. Select All, or A, will select all visible geometry or all geometry in an active filter. The Chain Selection command, or C on your keyboard, will allow you to select a chain of curves, or a chain of surface boundaries. A nice feature of this function is the ability to input a tolerance, which will allow you to select a chain even if there are gaps in between them. Please refer to the Help menu to explain the two modes of chain selection. The Select Lasso command allows you to create a custom shaped selection window. Everything entirely and partially inside the window will be selected. Or if you hold the Alt key while closing the lasso, only everything entirely inside the lasso will be selected. The Select Window command allows you to pick 2 points on the screen to create a selection window. A window picked from left to right will only select everything entirely inside the window. This is the same as dragging a window from left to right. A window picked from right to left will select everything entirely and partially inside the window. This is the same as dragging a window from right to left. And the invert selection will reverse the selection, deselecting everything selected and selecting everything not selected. Finally, there's a Reset Selection Filter command. This command also appears in the upper toolbar, and they will both appear gray if there is no active filter. If there is an active filter, they'll no longer be gray. This allows you to easily see if there is a filter active. Right beside the Reset Selection Filter command in the upper toolbar is the Select In and Out commands. This allows you to select either a group or a solid as a whole, or to select individual components of that group or solid. In this example, I have two groups. If I want to select the group as a whole, I use the Select Out command. If I want to select individual components of that group, I use the Select In. Now let's make a selection filter using entity type. If I make all faces unselectable, you will now see that there is a filter active and I can't select any faces. Right-clicking on an entity type brings the Activate Only This and Activate All Except This command. Right-clicking on a parent also gives an All Active, All Inactive, and a Toggle command which will reverse the filter. If I activate only curves and window box the entire part, I will only select the visible curves. If I activate All Except Curves and hit A for Select All, I will be able to select everything but curves. The Attributes area of the Selection tab allows you to use tags to filter selection. It works much the same as tags in the Visibility tab. Clicking on the pencil next to Layer or Material will allow you to make certain layers or colors selectable. If I click the pencil next to Layer and choose a particular layer. I have created a new filter. I can see that a filter is active, and now I can only select geometry that's on that layer. Once the filter is defined, it will stay active until cleared with right-click Clear or by hitting the Reset Selection filter. You'll notice a pipette or dropper next to Layer and Material on the Selection tab. This function allows you to create a selection filter by layer or color by picking geometry on the screen. If I only want to be able to select geometry of this color, I activate the pipette, I choose the geometry, and I've now created a new selection filter that only allows me to select geometry of that color. You can do the same with layer. The pipette next to attributes allows you to create a selection filter that includes both layer and material. The advanced filter type allows a bunch of tag options for filtering specific types of geometry based on properties. I'm not going to go over every option in here, but I'll show an example. I know these holes have a radius of 2.159 millimeters, but selecting them all would take some work, so I can create a filter that allows me to select them. Notice the little icon next to advanced is blue. If I click on the pencil and define my condition, it's geometric, choose radius is exactly 2.159 millimeters. Now my icon has changed to a copper color, indicating that there is a condition list active. And when I window box the entire part, I will only select geometry that has exactly that radius. And I can clear it by right-clicking and selecting Clear. Additionally, you can use the Model tab to select geometry by left-clicking on geometry in the list, or by holding the Control or Shift keys to select a group of geometry in the list. That's the end of our lesson on selection. Thanks for your time.